Hello and welcome to this stream of Ikigai. It's the third in the series of events marking Olympics Week on RGT. And tonight we are doing the TNT events, or the Tuesday night track events. And we are live with Mike Lister, who's racing tonight. Myself, Riley Harvey, and also we're pleased to have as guest commentators tonight for Virtual Cycling News, Chris O'Hearn, who is the TNT promoter and event organizer. Hi Mike, how are you doing?
Yep, hi there Riley. Not too bad, thanks. Looking forward to this one. 4 races back to back, all short, sharp efforts. This is much more in my wheelhouse compared to yesterday's time trial. That was a tough effort. Hopefully I've got some energy left in the legs for tonight. Looking forward to it. Cheers Chris for organising this, and yeah, let's get it on.
Cheers Mike, good luck.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Hello Riley.
Hi Chris, great to have you online.
So Chris, the first event is a point tempo race. Do you want to just give us a little introduction as to how that's going to unfold and what the aim of the game is on this one?
Welcome to the strange world of track cycling. We like to confuse people. Many a time I've been at the track and, you know, people can't even work out what's happening in a race that they're in, let alone one they're watching. So tempo, we have to work it slightly differently on RGT just because of the limitations of the format. But in this race, we're using the elimination format, so the RGT has. But instead of placing being based on the final elimination place in the race, it's based on how many laps you win. So in the elimination, there's a notification on screen every time someone initiates an elimination lap, and I'll be noting down their names and giving 1 point for every lap that someone initiates, and the person with the most points wins the race, and it'll go up to 30 laps.
Great stuff. I'm going to be trying to grab myself a few points.
Yeah, it's a very tactical race. You can, sometimes it's an advantage to let somebody who's scooping up a lot of points go out ahead. If you've got a couple in the bag and somebody else doesn't matter to you. If you've got 2 points, doesn't matter whether they've got 8 or 12, they're still going to, but it means that somebody else isn't getting them. It's a very tactical race, this one.
Right, we're 20 seconds from the start, so I'm going to hand back to you, Riley, to talk us through this first round of action.
Fantastic, thanks Mike. Yeah, it does sound like a very interesting concept, Chris. You run this event every week. Is there someone in the pack that we should be looking at that you would see as being a particular threat in this event, or is it a fairly open field tonight?
Yeah, I'm looking at them. I mean, Alex Pledger is a very strong rider, well, I'm just looking at the other names. I can't see them all on my screen. I'll have to have a look through. Jan obviously is very strong. I mean, it's really who can. Oh wow! It's really who can make those repeated efforts, and they really add up over a period of time. Sometimes people go out really strongly, but they don't manage to keep it going. Fleming Bach, he's a regular. We have a big Danish contingent, so he's a regular. He's a very strong rider.
And is there a certain tactic to this? You could just be hanging onto the back of the pack all the way around and give repeated sprint efforts just as you're getting up to that finish line?
Yeah, if you can, that would work. The trouble is, you can't always give those efforts. It's so hard to catch people on the line. Oh, there's Jan. Sorry, I'm having to make sure I write down the names, otherwise people will kill me.
Sorry, Chris.
So far we've got, no, that's fine. So we've got 3 different riders So now we're seeing people starting to get lapped and eliminated. So yeah, you can try and hang on, but I mean, you know, making those repeated efforts, and this is the same in real life, you know, it really takes its toll on your legs when you have to make those efforts again and again and again. You know, they're happening every, 30, 40 seconds in a race like this.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's an argument for setting your own tempo and maybe time trialing to get off the front, get those few points in the bag, and then sitting up and resting.
Yeah, well, that's where the tactics can come into it. Sometimes as the race settles down, somebody can make a big effort and get away. And then they can often be allowed to get away, because if you're behind, you're thinking, well, if I do all the work to catch up to them, somebody's just going to roll me on the line and get the points. And believe me, it happens. I've been in races myself in real life and here where that happens. So sometimes the pack will let somebody get away, and I see we've got somebody breaking away now. It'll be interesting to see if they get chased down. Who's that? And Halgard, okay. Yeah, you often get someone who skips out in front and scoops up several laps before they tire, basically.
So
another one of the Danes.
You need to concentrate on those scores. You need to concentrate on those scores, because we will be asking you afterwards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, he's got another one. So that's the first person with multiple laps. So now it'll be interesting to see if the pack decides to chase him down.
Nicky Huga he's been taking part in some of the ECKD races. Doesn't look like he's been a favourite of the track previously, the Tuesday night track races, but yeah, been regular in the ECKD and a few of the group rides.
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing some. So Nick Greenhalgh, he's a regular. An interesting tactic there. I just noticed that D. Roz has been eliminated, but had gone out early on the second lap and scored a point. And that's a good tactic, because there'll be a lot of people here who haven't scored points at all. And if you score 1 point, you're automatically ahead of a lot of others.
So you could be wise to burn all your matches on the first lap early on, try and just get an early point, and then rest up ready for the next race, because they do come in quite quick succession, these races on the Tuesday night track.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's another tactic. And our next race is a scratch race, so that's going to be hard. Stay with the pack. Here's Alex. So Alex now has 3 laps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
A little bit of gap in open up to Nick Greenhouse there. He's the next ride on the road. Nick's been doing very well in all of the events so far, and the Rasio Racing team's been working quite well together. But it'd be interesting. It looks like it's going to be a mass elimination here as Wouter Class come over the line to score.
Yeah.
And he's not very far away from the pack, just in front of him there.
Yeah, I'm really hoping Mike stays in, because my plan was... the plan is that Mike has to stay in and eliminate everybody at the end.
Yeah,
and hopefully they'll stop him. We might not get... We might 30 laps. The early... if these eliminations continue, we might end up not getting to 30 laps. We'll see. I think we're at 12 at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, yeah.
I've had a complete disaster.
I was counting on you, Mike. The reason, just for anybody watching, that I need that is that just because of the way the race works, I need somebody to sort of finish it. Otherwise, it won't show up in the results, which we sort of manually adjust. Claes, 2 leaders, Alex and I think it's Woot Claes.
Yeah, Woods Claes and PDC here from the ECKD is just taking the lead.
Alex and Woot are on 3 laps.
Quite away in front of everybody else at the minute.
Alex coming through to take another point here from the looks of things.
Okay, so 4 laps now. He's ahead of Woot, and Haggard is on 2. And then we have a bunch of people on 1.
Hiederdam and Decker and Bergqvist and a few of the other riders there have just formed a large group, and it may be that they can get their act together and use each other's draft and power to bring themselves back up to that front group, who are no doubt tiring now, working as a smaller group together.
Yeah.
But that middle group is only 60 metres ahead of my group. So if we can catch them, we'll have a good sized group.
Yeah.
And we see the Lister group there closing in on the group in front.
Oh, Mike.
Has that Mike been eliminated there?
I told you I was having a shocker.
So I'm now that's thrown my plan into I have to see who's there. Alex is up there. He knows
too much.
Do you know what position were you in, Mike? Was it about 24 or something?
28.
28.
That's me done. I just had a terrible start. The pack really did rocket off, and I went hard for about 30 seconds, but couldn't get back on. So, yeah, disaster. But 3 other opportunities to try and get some points. So we'll see how we get on. But yeah, 28. That's not. I know it's well. We'll see how it shakes out with the points, but
Yeah.
that's going to cost me.
The 2 chasing groups are just grouped up together now and formed one larger peloton again. They're trying to make it back on. So we've got 3 out in front. Woutklace just initiated another lap there.
He's
seems
scooping up the points. Yeah. And Alex needs to chase him down.
Eventually.
Here they come with a big pack.
This is the thing, if I manage to stay with this, these guys chasing down Walter, you can just see him there about 60 metres ahead. They're going to catch him and then there'll be points on offer again. So I just had to stay in. I blew it.
So you're eliminated then, Mike, because you were the last one across the line.
Yeah, that's right. I changed my camera angle. I was trying to watch those guys coming around. They were coming around pretty quick towards us. So I just didn't want to I wanted to make sure I wasn't lapped. And whilst I was concentrating on that, I forgot that I could fall off the back. And was the last one across the line and just got eliminated.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, I've got a disaster because I've just been I was too long on and I'm now out of the app. How am I going to tell them to stop? You're still in, aren't you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm in, so I'm watching. I'm here, so I can.
I might need you to help. Yeah.
So how many laps have we got left?
I think this is lap 20. I'm just going to check now, unless I missed one while I was panicking there. Bergqvist. But I can also tell you, having done a lot of track judging and refereeing, sometimes these things happen. I think we took a lap down. We got his Rasmus. He does a lot. Yeah, he does a lot of racing. Highball. Okay. So that's 21.
Okay, I'll do a countdown for them. 9 laps to go. See, this is the thing. If they've caught
22
water
actually.
place
20,
now,
yeah.
It's all back together.
So 22. So I miscounted. So it's 23. Bergfist gets another. That's 23. Yep.
Saw that Jeff Rooney was on the start list. Did anyone notice whether he actually started the race?
I'm not sure, no. I've not seen his name there.
Didn't notice.
It's starting to get stretched out again now. I think people are realising a few laps left. They can put a bit of an effort in knowing that there's not too long left to go now. Just see a little bit of a split there. We've got 6 riders off the front. A little bit of a gap back for the chasing pack. Another sprint there, that's Alex again, he's been doing well.
Yeah, there's 25. Do you want to give them a 20, tell them 5 laps left? And,
yeah, I'm giving them a countdown in game so that they know. See Rob Miller here.
Okay.
He's a solid time trialist. So he's just jumped off the front. Got those riders behind him there, just getting the draft. As we see Fleming back, coming around.
Going out quite long there, sprint
starting
there.
On the curve. Yeah. But maybe he's thinking, oh no, he's eased up. I was wondering if he was going to go for a long one.
Maybe,
Take 2 on the bounce.
Now, yeah, there's only 4 laps left, so you're looking at maybe 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes at full power. No, he's just, maybe he's burnt up there. Clace comes back to work. Good effort by Clace.
Clace has been collecting a few here.
Fleming's eased off behind that group, I think.
Another group of 3 there on the high bolt.
High bolt. It's 27, 3 to go.
So Nick Greenall, he got eliminated 23rd, so that's a bit of a surprise. Rajewski 22nd. Plago's also been eliminated. So we're down to the final 15 riders. Bergfist now making a dash for the line. He's been fairly consistent.
He's got 3, 28, 2 to go.
Maybe now could just be going for it. Just letting the pack come back round. Not seen too many sprints by Decker. Maybe just keeping an eye on some of the future. We've got 3 races to go. See they come round again.
Yeah, Decker's only had one. Decker's only had 1 lap, so if he can get another lap, he'll move up a lot.
I think that's the first point for Verchich there.
That's it. Yeah. So this is 1 more lap. This is the bell lap.
Who's going to open it up on this corner?
Hedison going early. Clace is just right in behind him. Using him as a lead out.
Late sprint, Clace is going to take it.
Oh, just takes it.
Hey, okay. So, can you try and get them to stop? And we need 1 person, maybe Jan, to ride a final lap and eliminate everybody.
Just looking back on the results there, Highball, who's took a couple of laps there, they ride frequently in the ECKD races, and they've taken quite a few podiums, quite a lot of firsts and thirds in the ECKD races. So they're looking like they're a tidy rider, someone to watch. So yeah, doing a quick tally there. Come on, guys, stop. They're keeping going. I know it's difficult.
There's only a couple still going, but hopefully they'll get.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, hopefully, and they'll stop and they'll get eliminated, and then we'll be down to the final 3. So yeah, quick tally there. Clace had 10 points, 10 laps. Pledger with 6. Bergfist with 3. Hagar with 2, Highball with 2, and then a bunch of people on 1. Massal, Ros, Decker, Bach, Greenhalgh. Oh, Bach's got 2, sorry. Got his name down twice. And Vercic.
Brunelli is still flying around, and there's a couple, I think they're just about getting the message.
Okay. I mean, eventually it'll be down to 3 and it'll be the last lap anyway, but...
Like I say, they're soon gonna, if they don't stop, then they'll soon be eliminated as per the rules, so I'm going to leave it there. I've given them enough chances. I'm going to go join the crit race, so I don't want to end up too far back again.
No, indeed, you got 7.5 minutes.
Well, it's already filling up. There's already several rows. It's quite narrow on
yeah.
So you're only 4 across, whereas on the other events you're 10 across. So you can end up quite a long way back. So I think I'm in the 8th or 9th row. So we'll see how we get on there. I'm in. Good number of people in, but starting a little bit further back, you get a bit of a draft to start with, so it's not all bad.
And obviously the collision avoidance is turned off, so you can ride through riders for the first 100 metres to hit the front of the pack.
Well, yeah, you can do, but if you're not paying attention, the front of the pack can be gone. As I found, much to my disappointment.
We're riding this race on Canary Wharf around central London, the financial district, very built up area, somewhat like Tokyo with the illumination going on in the high-rise buildings.
On the plus side, for those riders that were eliminated a little bit earlier, it means they're a little bit fresher for these 3 races. I'm sure Walter Clace, Alex Plager, Fleming Back, they all probably went quite deep sticking in that race. That was almost 20 minutes of hard riding with those sprint efforts as well. So we've got plenty more of that to come. So we'll see how that's panned out for them. Have they peaked too soon, and will they blow up in future races?
So you should have very fresh legs for this one then, Mike.
Semi-fresh, I wasn't quite that early.
So this is based on a scratch race then, Chris, and can you just explain briefly in simple terms how the scoring's done on this one, and how are people eliminated, or are you just riding through to the finish?
No, so this is just a ride through to the finish. These events, the 4 events tonight, are based on the format of the Olympic Omnium. And so the Olympic Omnium has a tempo race, it has a scratch race, it has an elimination race, and the 3rd race is a points race, I think, but it's a bit hard to do that on RGT, so I'm substituting the next one, the sprint race. So scratch on track is just just like any race. It's finishing order. There's no elimination. There's no points. There's nothing special about it. But obviously it's short and it's fairly fast.
It's an explosive race over a tight course with sharp corners. Lots of auto braking given by the RGT platform on these corners, so it can be those areas where the separations can occur, rather than the hills, because it's a pretty flat course. There is a little bit of a section in it where it's got a sharp gradient, but overall pretty flat. Given the riding that you just seen in the last race, Chris, is there anyone that you would expect that would be better in this format, and perhaps to save the legs a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably the usual suspects. I mean, Alex and Jan are always very good at these sorts of races, aren't they? I see Ryan Miller there. He does a lot of track events. But obviously with this course, I mean, I chose this course because I wanted something a little bit, like a track race where, you do have to think about, how you move up, and a bunch, you can't just break away from the bunch. So we'll see. I mean, there are opportunities here if you can power out of the corners.
So you're going to be working against the pack.
So the finish here, because the finish line is around about, what's a kilometre-long lap, just about. And you've got 2 long sides, 2 short sides. So you've got 2 corners around about 250 metres, and then 150 metres from the finish line. So you need to be well positioned on that final lap into those last corners, because you've got an opportunity to sprint out of the corners and then sprint towards the line because of the auto braking. If you're further back, you're going to struggle. You're going to be 10, 15, 20 metres back just coming out of those corners, which is a lot of distance to make up over that short sprint to the finish line. You do need to be alert all the way around that final lap.
And again, that's sort of like a track race. I mean, a track race, if I look back at a power profile in a track race, it's not like a road race, where you can sit on, tempo, you can sit on 180, 200 watts. It's very easy in a track race. People turn, they come off, and it rotates very quickly, but it's always up and down. You've got to have so many matches to burn in track racing.
I guess a lot of riders that are riding RGT generally won't be doing that sort of type of riding frequently, and won't be acclimatized to those sort of repeat efforts and trained to that profile, will they?
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, there's not that many things that are like this. And the good thing about it is, as Mike said, he had a bit of a disaster in the first one, but one of the things that I personally love about track racing, track league, is, anyone who does track usually does go to track league or something where there'll be 4 or more races. And, you mess up one, there's another one in 10 minutes, 15 minutes time. You've always got another chance. And it suits different types of riders. You can do well in one race and terrible in another.
Right, just about 30 seconds before the start of this event then. Just give a shout out to Antoine Renaud, who is watching the stream and also racing. Mike Guibo as well, following on Facebook. Right, here we go then. I'm not going to make this again.
We're expecting big things this time, Mike. Like a rocket off the start line.
See quite a lot of red there.
Which is probably worth mentioning as well. There aren't too many platforms that are capable of doing this kind of rapid changing in the races. RGT is quite good in the way that you can switch from one race to another very quickly without too much issues. Some of the other platforms you have to mess about logging out and logging back in to get yourself to switch from one race platform to another, well, one race format to another.
It's very true, very true. I mean, sometimes one of the difficulties with me, and we'll see this with my races, and we'll see this in the next event, is if you do an elimination race or a timed race, it can depend on the number of riders. Elimination is based on the number of laps. So I often have to make a guess about how many riders will be in, and sometimes cuts a bit fine, but it's great. As long as you've got a minute, you can get across to the next race. And also worth mentioning, Riley, that as far as I'm aware, there's no other platform that does things like an elimination race.
No, I think you're right about that, Kristen. That is individual to RGT. Any platform that does that automatically for you certainly cuts down a lot of the work that's needed. Well, I don't think it'd be possible in any other without doing it automatically.
There's actually a huge amount of combinations, and plug for TMT here, but I've managed to work out by combinations of drafting, non-drafting. You can do drafting time trials, you can do non-drafting time trials, you can do non-drafting mass starts. I think at last count, I've got 14 different types of races that I can put on. So I rotate them through each week and do different races, try and do different races, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly keeps the Tuesday nights fresh. I think everyone's happy with the way that it goes, and they're always got a different challenge each week. It's not just the same 4 races every single week. You've got something different to try and overcome and achieve your best in.
Yeah, and credit to RGT for developing it. I mean, it was they brought up the elimination, I think, just around Christmas last year, and immediately with my track background, I could see the possibilities, and other things have sort of come as we've gone along, and I've had a sudden brainwave and thought, oh yeah, I could do that.
We're just back onto the racing there. We just saw Hiederdam there pushing off the front. Hiederdam has done some fantastic racing in this series already. Did a great time trial. Certainly got some power there. It looked like he was just breaking off the front there, trying to catch up with some back markers. I think that's Mike up near the front of this group as well. So perhaps he did save some energy on that last event. He's concentrating a bit more intensely on the riding now than he is on the commentary on this race.
Indeed, yep. There's a lot of names up there that I see: Greenhow, Bergqvist, Skovskar. Ryan Miller often does well in TNT.
The power's there. Putting out an average there about 400 watts that I'm looking at. With little bursts going around the corners.
Yeah.
That's that little steep gradient that catches you out sometimes, a sort of 3% hit on an otherwise generally flat course. That can catch you out a little bit. Again, another rider breaking off the front. I think there might be Hiederdam again there at the front. Oh, Skovskar.
Oh, Skovskar.
Only 1.5k remaining. It is possible to do it from this sort of distance, but it's unlikely with a big pack chasing.
Yeah, it's a good effort. And of course, normally in the track Omnium, this scratch race would be on an indoor track, so a 250 meter track normally, which makes it very difficult to get away because you can always see people ahead of you.
Just entering into the final lap now. Following Mike as he comes through. He's just eased off the power a little bit there. Bringing it back in again and hitting this gradient. Picking up some map markers going through. Just coming through into the final section now. Only 500 meters left to go. Greenhouse is on the front. Poniatowski is coming through with the sprint. Everybody opening up the sprint. Oh no, not quite opening the sprint up yet.
That position in this final corner. Jan Dekker there. Ooh, swamped. Yeah, Greenhouse, good position there.
Final corner, last little bit of sprint. 11 watts per kilogram there. Who's that coming through? Jan Decker with final sprint to take it. Who's Claes coming in second place and Brunelli behind him. Mike Lister finishing in 9.
Well done, Mike.
Yeah, thanks guys. Just got caught out a little bit in that penultimate corner. Oh. But I gained about 5 places. Got the power down. And it's like I was saying at the top, just got to watch that. It's quite difficult because on the back you've got the dip. So if you're at the front, you get a wave of riders coming past you. And as they come past you, they're carrying that draft and that momentum into the uphill. It was quite tactical that last lap. But 9th place, I'll take that, stacked field. So yeah, a bit of a rest now before we go into the 250 metres or so sprint. Looks like I was putting quite a lot of power down there, look. 4.6 average, that's the 3rd highest in the top 10. Not necessarily very efficient riding by me there. But just a quarter of a second separating that top 10. Shows how close it was.
Going further down the you got Casper Heeder down there in 19th with I think he's the highest power rating out of everyone at 5.46 watts per kilogram there. But only finishing in 19th position, even though he's producing the highest power.
Yeah, he did a couple of turns on the front, tried to break away a little bit. And I think it was Skoskar as well, who was away on the penultimate lap. He had a little bit of a lead, but we brought him back. Yeah, some people there, Brunelli, Taylor, Bodyguard, all under 4 watts, very efficient from those guys. But now coming up, it's the sprint. This is where power matters, pure power, it's flat. So less of an issue of weight, no climbs or little bumps. And I think this is around about 30 seconds, I think, of flat out power from memory.
250 meters? No, it should be gone.
Oh, it's a bit quicker then.
Faster than that, yeah.
A bit shorter. I was thinking it was the 380 meter course. So yeah, 250 meters, we should be absolutely flying.
And your predictions for winner? Chris, go.
Oh, one of the. It's often very different to the others, and hard to go past Jan. I'm looking for some of the names of some of our regulars. I'll go with Jan for now, but I'll have a look and see if I see any of the guys who've got legs like tree trunks.
Mike, who are you going for?
I say, well, do you want me to put my legs on the camera so that you can check out the size of them? Large branch.
Are you backing yourself?
Tree trunks.
Are you backing yourself in this one, Mike, or are you picking somebody else?
Well, let's have a look. Yeah, I know Jan's strong. Fleming back. Alex as well. Alex has got a good sprint on him. So, yeah, any of those guys. I'd be hopeful of a top 5. I'm going to put myself in the top 5 for this.
Top 5. I'm going to put mine on Casper Heeder down there. He's been riding strong, and I'm going to put my money on Casper.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him. I've only seen him these last couple of races. Yesterday in the time trial where he was strong and I think finished 2nd or 3rd overall, wasn't he? He was on the podium. And then, yeah, just in those last couple of races.
He was in the hot seat for a while.
Like. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Casper was in hot seat for a while. Rob Stone's absent tonight. possibly these shorter power races not suiting his riding style, or may have just been busy.
So one thing to note is that on the screen it does say 6 minutes to the start, but actually that's based on one of the riders who joined a little bit later. We did go off in 5-second intervals, so it's one at a time every 5 seconds, and we'll be starting in around about 3 minutes. I'm just waiting for my countdown. I'm on the front row. I think I'm going to be the 4th rider off. So yeah, Chris just giving a few more instructions there within the chat. Doing the umpire duties, letting everyone know what's going on. We do have there's a slight neutralised part before you get to the start line. So it's quite handy being on the front row, because it's almost just power straight out. If you're a bit further back, then you slowly glide up to that line. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So it's going to be quick, fast, furious riders coming around all the time, and then we'll find out at the end who is the quickest overall, because it depends on that order people have joined the event. We could have some strong riders towards the back of the pack who will be last off, so it keeps it interesting right to the end.
So this is just a flat out sprint to the finish. Fastest sprinter comes in first place, and so on down the field.
Yeah, that's it. This is where
Nice
you
and
can go
simple.
deep. I have got my camera set up. I don't know if Damon's going to show me on screen. You'll be seeing the top of my head as I get down into the drops. Furiously thrashing about, dropping down through the gears. Might just push some of this equipment out of the way if I can, just give me a bit more space. We'll do a bit of side to side action here. I will mute myself because I will probably be quite a lot of panting at the end.
So we just had Anders Norgard Borgard in on the chat, and they've said Ostergaard will take the sprint. So that's their shout up for the sprint tonight. We won't have to watch very long to find out whether they come through.
It looks like they're possibly on the number 8th rider. They're on, I think that's the front row. I'll be very shortly seeing the first rider off in about 15 seconds.
Nice little compact circuit here. We can see all the riders going around all at the same time. Be interesting to see if we see any max heart rates here as well as max speeds. Our first rider off the line is our camera, followed by Bergqvist. Straight into the red power there, over 12 watts per kilogram. And then Mike's off behind him, he's hitting 13 watts per kilogram there. Jacobson coming round. That's our first finisher. High ball at 13.8 setting off there. Ryan Miller's underway. And also Brunelli. There's Ostergaard, who's been touted as the winner.
So I can see the results. I'll let a few more come round. Oh, I have to say, Ostergaard, he's not looking Not looking like a winning time to me.
He was pushing out nearly 15 watts per kilogram at one point, which is quite impressive.
That's a strong start.
And just to give you an idea, on the actual track, the flying, so normally the flying 200, it's 200 for a start, not 250. And the riders, they ride 3 laps, so they get 2 laps to basically 1 lap they go around slowly, then they get a lap to build up to speed. And the skill of this event is really hitting that 200 exactly the right point on the track and exactly your top power. And the world record is, I think, just over 9 seconds for 200 meters.
So I can tell you that our current hot seat time is 16.49 seconds.
Yep.
Second place is 16.79, and third place is 17.1. I can see Fleming back going off there. Keeping an eye on him.
Somebody's saying it was all out at first, second, and only 168. I don't know.
I think you were pretty clear, Chris, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, here goes Alex Plager then. You know he's going to be strong.
And Joyce Shepherd is just crossing the line there of one of the Rasio Racing guys. Paul Padell's just finished his lap.
Plager comes in, he gets the top 5. Oh, that's an absolute beast of a lap by Jan Dekker.
Or is it looking like Chris might be riders?
Could be last couple to come.
Von Massau. Fred Perry come over the line.
And Massau over the line. So that looks like that's everybody then. I think Damon will be able to call up the results. I'll produce them in a second. But I can tell you that the winner, 0.7 seconds clear of second place. Which
Wow, that is a massive gap.
That is a big gap, yeah. Well, I can tell you, I averaged 972 watts. Looks like there's just a little bit of a formatting issue there, because Jan Dekker is our winner.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. There we go.
Oh, he is.
So yeah, Jan in first place. Look at that. And I backed myself for a top 5. I took second place, which yeah, I'm pleased with that. A bit of a recovery after the first 2 events. And then Walter Clace, another solid performance by him, taking third place. And then another almost 0.4 of a second back to Henrik Hobol there. Antoine Renou, Alex Plager, all pretty close. 4th, 5th, 6th. Nick Greeno in 7th. Timo Achenbach in 8th. Christian Brandt in 9th. And Matthias Bergqvist in 10th. So surprisingly, quite a big range there in the times. Obviously Jan massively ahead, but even from 3rd down to 10th there, still a second difference. Really spread on the field there. And we had a shout out for Anders Ostergaard in the chat. He put out an impressive 12.49 watts per kilo, but I think he must be quite a light rider, so possibly his actual power not quite as high as those guys at the top. But yeah, you'd have thought with a power ratio that good, he should be a little bit higher. So, so watts per kilo, not everything, more about your absolute power on the flat sprint circuit.
Yeah, it's a very difficult comparison, the watts per kilogram, when you're on a flat circuit, and it is much more down to how much raw power you can generate. Watts per kilogram, much more of an effective comparison when you've got hills involved, or when you're just solely going uphill. It's an interesting race format, that one. It's very quick and interesting to watch, and difficult to keep track of. A great result there, Mike.
Yeah, cheers guys, I do like the sprint.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jan, he's got that real top end power, and he lays it down. He can certainly go.
Almost like Chris knows who's going to win these events when he starts pulling out names like that, isn't it?
I do have a very good record, because normally I'm not racing them, and I follow someone using the RGT follow thing, and I'm a pretty good record of following the right person.
Yeah, well,
If you fancy predicting me for the win for this next one, that'd be appreciated.
you're no longer well rested, Mike. You've had to put an effort in on that race, so that's your excuse now for not coming first in the next one.
Well, I'll certainly be a little bit more focused on the next one with the elimination format. So I certainly won't be getting dropped early doors. I'm going to be prepared for that start, because this is a true elimination race now. The last rider across the line on each lap will be eliminated, and then I'll continue every lap until there's only 3 riders left, and they will battle it out for the win, with the first rider over the line on that final lap taking the win. So yeah, this one, unlike the first race where riders were sprinting for the start-finish line on each lap to get that point, this one you can be a little bit more cautious. You don't have to sprint for the line, you just need to make sure you're not last. And you do have to just be wary, make sure that you're not at the back of the pack. And where you really do need to watch out is if a rider is lapped, then they're also eliminated. So you might think you're safe because there's 3 or 4 riders behind the pack, but if they lap them, they get eliminated and you've not realised, you could be in danger. So it's very thinking's man's race, this. You do have to have your wits about you. Just try and stay towards the front of the field, conserve energy where you can, but not get caught out in that charge for the line each lap. Normally starts off pretty fierce. Riders fight for position, try to get out into that early pack and not fall off the back. Then it settles down a little bit as those riders out the back get picked off. And then as we get down to the last 15 dozen riders, that's when it starts to get really fast again, as riders are really fighting to get over the line and ensure that they're not the ones picked off. And then actually the last 5 to 6 riders, it does slow down again, because people get a little bit tactical, not wanting to lead anyone out. The pack's much smaller at that point, so if you go first, there's a chance that the others can draft off you, overtake you at the line, and you're the one that goes. So there are different phases to this race, and it's going to start in about 4.5 minutes. So I'm just going to keep my legs spinning, try and shake out some of the lactic acid from that sprint effort, and make sure that I'm ready for what will once again be a fast start.
Don't know if anyone was watching then. Damon, the producer, did a live transition from one of the races straight into the others, and it was almost that smooth that there isn't anything to talk about. It was done that quickly, so that was moving live from one of the races to the other, and just done in a matter of seconds, straight from one to the other in.
but it's so seamless, I didn't even realise it was happening.
Now we're getting to see it again now. It's a live transition.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the reason why on RGT you can have these very quick events, one after the other, because it doesn't take you long at all to switch from one race to the other. That's why Chris's events are successful. Just worth noting, if you are following us, watching this on Facebook, if you could follow and like the page on Facebook. If you're watching it through YouTube, if you can like and subscribe, just get those numbers up on the viewers, give us a bit more inspiration and a bit more encouragement to keep these live streams going for you.
There we got Wayne, Tim, Anders in the live chat, Mike Debo, all giving us some comments. Cheers for tuning in, guys. Lots of people liking the stream there, that's great. So we're across multiple platforms, ZMS live streams on Facebook, Mike Lister 66 on the YouTube if that's more your thing, and estv.co as well. You've got a Hulu enabled TV set or a Sony TV. You can watch this live on your television set via the estv.co TV channel.
So have we got any predictions for winners on this one, Chris?
Oh, it's Mike is good, actually. I would probably, Mike is one of the ones I would follow. Fleming is also very good at the devil. I tell you who I'm missing. I don't know if she's been doing any of the races, but there's a Finnish lady who often does the TNT called Anna Ronkanen. She's a bit of a queen of the devil, she is. But, she's not here tonight.
Yeah,
who will I follow? I'll follow you, Mike. I'll follow you, Mike.
Oh, thanks. You're wasting your money.
But it's so tactical, and you know this race, and you can just get caught out the wrong moment.
Yes,
Moments in attention. Yeah.
And for anyone that's watching this and enjoying this format and thinking they'd like to go at these races, you run this series every Tuesday night, is that right, Chris?
That's right, yep, every Tuesday night, a little bit earlier normally, at 6 o'clock UK time, 7 o'clock Central European time. But yeah, we do them every Tuesday night. It's always 4 races, it's always the Omnium format. But we do different types of races. So typically there'll be a scratch, sometimes there's tees, sometimes I run the devil, the elimination, without drafting, so it becomes like an elimination TT. Sometimes we do kilos, which is another track classic, 1 kilometer races with drafting, without drafting. All sorts of things, and I have different circuits too. So this circuit is Hernhill Velodrome, which is actually my local racing circuit. We use, there's one that I think Jan did in Belgium, was one in Helsinki. There's different time trial tracks, so a lot of variety.
So not only do you change the format, but you also change the tracks as well, which is another element that keeps it interesting and varied for all the races that are doing it repetitively. Exactly,
yeah. And it also is appropriate to different events. So, for instance, sometimes I do a 500 meter sprint and use a course that's modelled on the last 500 meters of the Champs-Élysées, but that's just like a straight line, so you don't have to worry about any corners or anything. Even for like eliminators or the tempo race, you know, if you've got a 450 meter track like this one, it makes it a different race to a 250 or 300 meter track, because people don't get lapped so quickly.
And I guess the drafting dynamics and the way you're following people, saving power can be varied in those sort of races as well, and suits different riders who've got different sprint abilities.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. So when we do the kilo races, often do them in succession. So do a 1 kilometer with draft and then a 1 kilometer without draft. And it's really interesting to see different people winning different race, depending on whether they're tactically good at drafting or whether they've just got the pure power over a kilometer, which is about a minute.
Yeah, Chris can be quite mean with putting some events back to back. Two big power efforts like that. I don't know if you picked up back there in the studio, but Lemon Back has actually been eliminated. So
he's eliminated! Wow, yes, yeah. He's normally really good at this. I'm very surprised.
Hopefully I won't befall the same fate, Chris.
He was my second pick. Come on, you were my first pick, Mike.
Well, I've dealt with him already.
That's Mike rolling through on the front there, just taking the lead from Hidedam as they go over.
Making sure he's safe.
I think Hidedam's been at the business end for...
We've got Wayne Schnitzeling, Bob Levine in the chat as well. Wayne's down in Australia, so this will be an early morning event for him. That'll be something to get the legs and the heart rate going for the day.
Hayball's gone through, Hidedam again on the front with a consistent effort, stretching it out a little bit now.
So it is about to get interesting. Sorry.
Rasmus Velodrome seems to be hanging around the back a little bit more than I'd have expected.
Yeah. So it's about to get interesting for this bunch, because I just had a quick scroll through. I think there's 2 people off the back who will come out on the next elimination, and then the eliminations will start to come from this bunch. So anyone who's at the back will have to be careful. Yeah, Perry and Vigneault were off the back. So now, this is part of the sort of tactical racing this event. You've got to look at the numbers of the people who are eliminated, so you know that 37 down to 37, and if you've just crossed in 35th place, then you know that you're in a bunch that is going to be close to being eliminated, or eliminations are going to come from that bunch.
Feldball, Rasmus had to make a strong effort there on that last bend to bring himself closer to the front of the race. He's already dropped back again. Just lost track of Mike. Can you see Mike in this pack there?
I don't see him there. No, I lost him.
They're getting swamped at the moment.
This is where everyone gets nervous.
Rooter Clace there, pushing himself up at the front, keeping himself up in 1st to 5th position there.
Someone's asking how many laps. They haven't quite got the concept of this yet.
Virtue being on the front end there. I think he's only scored in the first race tonight, Virtue, hasn't he?
He did get a point in the tempo, yeah. In real life, the elimination, or the devil as we call it in the UK, apparently nobody else calls it the devil, from devil take the hindmost. It's often a sort of race that's ridden at a fairly steady tempo pace, just with little bursts. Because on a track, a still life track, there's a physical limit to the number of people you can fit across the track. It can get quite physical at times, especially if you're at the back and you're trying to get through a gap. But if you're at the front and you find you on your wheel, well, they can't come through you. So what often happens is the riders at the front tend to, if you're a good, strong endurance rider, you sit on the front and everybody's happy to sit on your wheel, at least into laps, and take a bit of shelter from you. So it's often a sort of tempo pace with bursts every time there's a lap, but it's often only the people at the front, at the back, who need to worry about it.
So you end up with a line of the riders at the front just controlling the tempo, like you do sometimes when they shut it down in the Tour de France, with the riders just stringing themselves out across the front and creating a physical wall.
Yeah, not so much at the front. They tend not to sort of block like that, because on the track, then you've got the problem of, the banking will come, and if you're up the top, you'll end up having to go up the banking. But you usually have it'll be 2 or 3 deep at the front, and then it's at the back that it suddenly comes across. And if you're behind riders at the back and you've got nowhere to go through, you're in trouble. There's sometimes room at the top. It's often down the bottom at the back is the hardest point, because you haven't got space to go around. You can't sort of slow down and get around them, and you've got wheels in front of you, so there's nothing you can do.
Just coming around on this lap now, is that, I think it's Brandy at the back there. Is that they the next to be eliminated? Mike's making moves on the outside there, trying to protect himself. And the front of the race there, a lot of them trying to just sprint over for security, getting the lap started again.
Yeah, and this is another way to ride this race. You can sort of tell, because the elimination notices aren't coming up immediately that bunch crosses the line, which means there are people dropping off. That also happens. People get to a point where they think, okay, I said I'd get up to the top 30, or I get to this many laps, and then they just can't keep up with the bunch anymore. Here's an elimination lap.
Yeah, we were following Poniatowski a few minutes ago, and it looked like they'd done that. They put in a sprint effort to try and keep up with the pack and didn't quite bridge back across, and then you just saw the power tailing off as they realised it was more or less game over.
Lost cause.
See Jorg Roldan there, who's up in 5th position there. I've not noticed them in the other events so far this evening.
No.
Mike moving to the front.
Oh, that's one of the things I like about the different formats. You can get people who do well in a certain type of race, or or get in a race like this, you know, like Fleming did earlier, and just you know, moments in attention. And you know, I know it's happened to Mike on occasions too. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and suddenly you're out.
Can be very frustrating when you know you've got it in the legs, but you just miss time, that little moment.
For sure.
Hidedam's been over the line first in this event, I think, more than anyone else. I don't know whether they're just treating this as a time trial and riding it to their max tempo from start to finish.
I've got 23 in this front bunch, I think, at the moment.
Well, Mike's still there, got Alex Plasia, Brask.
Okay, Taylor and Brunelli. So that came immediately that bunch crossed the line. So that's where people are definitely down to this bunch now. The other funny thing about this race, I mean, not in the Olympics, so if you watch this in the Olympics next week when the Omnium's on, you'll see they have lights on the bike, and it's triggered, I think, I guess electronically or by judges, so the light flashes so the rider knows to go out. Obviously at your local track, we don't have that level of sophistication, so there's a two-way radio, and somebody goes around the other side with a megaphone and has to yell out to the riders, you know, number 36 or whatever it is. And sometimes the riders are so focused that they don't listen, so everybody's trying to get them to pull out of the race.
I've got a rider way off the back there. Not sure who it is, but it looks like they're going to be eliminated now.
Yeah, they've given up. So two people have dropped off. So the bunch is safe for now. Ellis. What is it? Hidedam. There you go.
Oh.
It's all those efforts.
The race probably just went on a bit longer than he was hoping it would there.
Yep.
Simonson initiated that one. We've got Woods Clace back on the front of the race. Skovskar's there as well. You can see with the riders that the power bar is just underneath the names. As they're going red, it means they're putting in efforts above their FTP, and going bright red means they're putting efforts way above their FTP, and sprint efforts to try and make it to the line quite often.
How is it in the bunch, Mike? Has it settled down a bit now that people are sort of...
We've been fairly consistent with the lap times, around about 38, 39 seconds. I think a rider's about to get eliminated. Oh, there we go, Heath. There he goes.
Shepherd's just went through to start that lap. Mike and Jan at the front there at the business end.
You sort of hope at this stage they've got, you know, 15, 16 riders. They know they've got another 5, 6 laps and that all they need to do is make those efforts at the elimination points. And there's people dropping off. Yep, they've had enough.
Sounds good. Another 6 or 7 laps to go. It's around about another 5 minutes.
Mike just pushing there for the line and just easing off as you reach back into the pack. And Rita Clays comes through again in first.
Shepherds.
Surprise elimination. His teammate Greenhouse is still in there. And Krajowski is there as well.
And Plager and Decker.
They've got a stacked
This is
team
the selection. Yeah, this is the selection royale. I got 13, I think, here.
Yeah, 13 riders at the minute. 2 more going this lap.
See a fight for this finish line now. Mike's pushing hard. Up into second place. Out on the front. And slowing again to let the pack recover and enjoy the draft.
Hey, Mike. So I just put a message on screen. I hope this doesn't catch people out. I think most of the people here are actually regulars, but something that occasionally catches people out because they're now doing in the rhythm of doing eliminations every second lap. Once we get down to the final 3, they race 1 lap only. It's not another elimination round.
Oh no. I just got...
Oh, Mike.
Oh, Mike.
Just got pipped on the line. Oh well, top
It's
10.
cool.
Top 10's good result.
20 minutes of pretty solid pacing. Oh.
Oh, I'm kicked out again. I thought I'd turned my thing on. Okay, you have to be my mouthpiece again, Mike.
So 9 riders left then.
Jan Decker protected himself there by pushing through to the front of the pack as they went over the line. Nick Greenhouse following.
It was starting to get quite tactical. People were slowing down a bit more because the pack's smaller. Just getting that rest.
Ryan Miller's
Miller now
distance
just, yeah, falling off the back. He's cooked. But he's telling us in the group chat, he's shouting it, "You go without me, I'm cooked." So only one rider here going to be eliminated as this pack crosses the line.
It's close for Antoine Renault.
Oh,
Oh,
that was very tight.
I think Renault just got there.
That was very close. So normally in a situation like that, would you have all stood up and waited for Ryan Miller to catch back on?
No chance. Every man for himself, isn't that right, Chris?
That's right. There's no teams in track racing.
I can see we've got three Rasio riders left. I don't know if one of them is going to take a bit of a flyer and stretch it out. They're obviously looking good for the team competition that's running this week.
Yeah.
Don't forget there is the team time trial as well that's running all week. So you can find the details of that on rgtdb.com. And then there'll be there's a link at the top of the page for that, and a link to all of the Ikigai events. You can catch up on the previous race streams as well. There's links to all of those races, the road race, the time trial, and tonight's event. As we see, Reno gone. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Antoine here doing a good job after that close call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not risked it again. He's been putting the effort in a bit earlier, going for the line.
So 2 more to be eliminated, and then it's a flying lap, isn't it, Chris?
Exactly. Yep. One lap after the final elimination.
Jan's gone a little earlier with his sprint there. Luca's coming past him, and it looks like Renault is going to go now.
Yeah.
Needs to work hard to get back on.
Well, he might do it. He's gone.
Sometimes at this point it's just a good tactic just to put the power down and just keep going, get that jump before that final lap.
Exactly.
2 are going to go here, and the final 3 are going to go for one more 500-metre lap. That will be the final lap with winner taking all.
I think that's exactly what Jan is planning.
You can see them there.
Oh no,
Decker's gone.
Jan and Renault. Yeah, he got pipped on the line. So this should be the final one. Klaes Kudlika, he does the track events regularly. And Alex.
Here we go then, final 3. Who's going to lead it out? Klaes is leading it out. Plager, Kudlika around the outside. Oh, they're neck and neck at this point. Klaes has just got a little bit of a march. Plager coming around. Has he got enough of the draft? Oh, that was so close. That must have been hundredths of a second in that.
Excellent.
0.02 seconds. Very close.
Very well placed by Klaes there. He's good pacing. Protected himself all the way through that race.
Oh, that was a great finish. I think Klaes has been very consistent throughout, hasn't he, in this? He did well in the tempo points race at the start.
Yes. Yeah, I think Klaes, I haven't, because of the way it's set up, I can't do it myself, but I think Klaes would be probably winning the Omnium. And Jan, I suspect, is probably in 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, Jan Decker, 5th place in that event. He did well he took the win in the sprint race. And he was right up there as well in the scratch race. He only got 1 point though, didn't he, in the first race? So probably enough to be in the top
Jan?
10.
Yeah. No, he only got the 1 point. So, Yeah, so now we have to add it all up. So I can't remember if we explained to those listening. The Omnium is the lowest score. So we're close in this one. We'll get 1 point for being first, and Mike gets 10 for being 10th. And it's added up across all 4 events, and the lowest total is the winner.
So there'll be a little bit of calculation by Chris in the background. All the results will be on rgtdb.com. So we'll be posting them there in a little while once Chris has consolidated and double checked everything. And make sure we get it all right. There's quite a few intricacies as you've seen on the stream tonight with the different point scoring positions. So we don't want to rush it and give anyone false hope. We don't want anyone thinking they've won gold when actually they've won silver. I don't think we've got any Dutch riders in the race, so
they wouldn't have been able to listen to our instructions.
And no one's fallen off either. All been... So I feel a little bit mean.
Just going through the results now. You got Casper Hededem there was in 20th position in the end, but with a watt per kilogram of 4.59. Casper was taking several of the starts of the race, of the laps, but I think he was treating this as a little bit of maybe a time trial scenario and just burnt himself out before he got to the important placings.
Well, I'm glad everyone was able to put on a good show for us tonight. That was a good overview of all the different types of event on RGT. The only thing we didn't get today was a longer time trial, which I know sometimes Chris does throw in on a Tuesday. And that was day 3 of the Ikigai events. Tomorrow we're going to be bringing you the Mikuni Pass hill climb, and that is brought to you by one of our regular event organisers, Mountain Goats. That's a regular Wednesday event. And this week, as part of the Ikigai takeover, we're going to be going up the Mikuni Pass, which featured on the men's race on Saturday morning. That's where Pogacar launched his attack. Some very steep sections on there. So that's tomorrow. Thursday, we're back to the Fuji Motor Speedway circuit, where we'll have a 40-kilometre crit race, and then on Saturday is the 105-kilometre road race, which is very similar to the road race we did on Sunday, but includes a 50-kilometre climb at the beginning. It's quite gentle, some slightly steeper sections within that, but that is going to be a brutal of a race. And of course, there's the team time trial taking place all week as well. So I'm going to go get some recovery after those 4 events, and I'm going to leave you with Riley Harvey to give his final thoughts on tonight's event. And I'm going to sign off. See you all again soon. Over to you, Riley.
Thanks, Mike. You have a good rest. Recover for tomorrow. Just want to say thanks to Chris for organising this event tonight, and to the Rasio Racing team for putting on the whole event. Tonight's event is something a little bit different for a lot of users. It's not a platform, it's not a format that a lot of people experience on virtual cycling, because it's not easy to do. But Chris organises these events every Tuesday, and everyone's welcome to rock up and join in and try a different kind of event, something a bit different to your usual time trial formats or your normal road racing that you do on your turbo trainer. So thanks a lot for Chris, and thanks for joining us as well to do some guest commentary and give us some information and keep us up to date with how the scoring works on these events.
No problem. I hope it was not too confusing.
No, it was great. Yeah, it'd be much easier than me explaining it to people. I'm sure I'd have made some glaring errors, some big mistakes along the way.
No worries. Looking forward to the racing and the track racing in the Olympics next week.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. So I think we're going to wrap it up now. I'd say thanks again once to ZMS live stream, available on Facebook. You can also catch up on the previous races that we've covered on the live section within the ZMS live stream page. Have a trip over to estv.co to check out their streaming service. And also, if you're on the YouTube, if you could like and subscribe on the YouTube. That'd be great. And we look forward to entertaining you some more with the next stream tomorrow night.